Hi, hello, I'm Bill Botel, from my home to yours, wherever you may be viewing this. Welcome to episode 2 of Clocking Corona. Firstly, thanks to all those who've looked at the first episode and contributed. Today, I want to look at how we got here, the strategic policies that were followed when they were adopted in Australia sometime about January 2020. At the outset, I must say that I base my views on what's on the public record and on many private conversations I've had with those who are close to the action. If, however, any of the things I say and the conclusions I draw can be contradicted by further evidence, then of course I'll be happy to adjust my views accordingly. Unfortunately, of course, all the deliberations and the modelling undertaken by the Australian government from about January 2020 that led to the policies that led to the predicament we are now in, they're all secret. You can't find them. So it's no use looking at secretly held information and saying, there, we did the right thing, but we're not going to let you in on the secret. That's wrong. Now, what I think was adopted in 2020 was the so-called herd immunity principles, which drove the mitigation strategy. This strategy accepted that the virus would inevitably arrive in Australia and that nothing much could or should be done to stop its spread. It came from the United Kingdom, generated there by the two senior advisors to the UK government, supported by UK academics and by some academics in Australia. This mitigation strategy, I thought, still think, was very reckless, because it accepted the spread of a virus in Australia for which we had no immunity, no cure, no treatment, and no vaccine. This virus is not like influenza, for which there is a herd immunity. And bit by bit, over February and March, as we winkled out of those who are responsible for this, the first thing they said was, well, the spread of the virus could be between 20 and 70% of the Australian population. 20% of 26 million people is 5.2 million people. A proportion of those will get sick, and unfortunately a proportion of those will die. But what those numbers are is in the secret modelling, and of course we only have the experience now of Europe and America to see what really is the effect of letting a virus run. I think it was a wrong strategy. It was a strategy that, if it were to be adopted, at the time should have been put out for public discussion and debate, to be interrogated, and for those who wanted to have this strategy, they should have been held accountable. They were not. So what happened was that we did not prepare like Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and therefore today our exponentially rising trajectory puts us far more on the side of the ledger that is going to the very bad outcomes in Europe and America, and a long, long way away from the achievements and the results that have been obtained in Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong. I think we should ask why. Why was it kept secret? Why was it adopted? And you can be sure that from now on, there'll be words like, this was unprecedented, it could never be accounted for, once in 100 years, once in 1,000 years, and we're doing the best that we can. That's rubbish. Once these policies were adopted secretly in January 2020, it was abundantly clear that if you took no steps to protect the borders, no steps to prevent the virus from coming in, this would be the inevitable result. Clear and obvious. We have to hold those responsible who developed this policy, but who now, I think, will be very inclined to rewrite history and run for the exits. More about that on the next episode of Clocking Corona. Thank you.